You have arrived at the ET Newsroom with your host, Joanna Summerscales. Welcome. Be prepared. Be prepared.
So what happens is Joanne surrounds you like a wall of crystals. So you're on the floor like that, and you've got crystals all the way around you. I mean, we're not talking about, we're talking about big ones. Whether that makes a difference, I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure it does. So I was told to relax, and Joanne went out the room, actually. We had a bit of Tibetan bowl doodah going on in the background, which was great, it was excellent. So I'm lying there thinking, I've just got to be open about this, and all of a sudden, bloody hell.
Just go with it.
Yes, go with it. I don't know, I can describe it. It was all of a sudden, there was definitely energies, they felt like people, beings. And it felt as though they only had a little bit of time to do what they needed to do. So they was even getting out of each other's way as one would go, I'll just go down this end, and they weren't talking like this, but it felt as though they was doing as much as they could in the short space of time. But there were 4 or 5 people, things, beings working on me. And I was giggling because I thought it was just hilarious, it felt so positive, and it felt, and to be honest, on the way down on the train, I made myself go to this because I felt absolutely burnt out. I had nothing to give, no energy. My psoriasis was like playing up, it was getting awful. And it was an effort, it was such an effort. I'm walking up those stairs, when I saw the stairs of yours, I thought, oh my God, stairway to heaven. But it was, and yeah, it was an amazing experience, that's all I can say. And after that, the next day was we stayed up to about 4 o'clock working, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah, so,
but
yeah.
You had swollen legs at that time, hadn't you? And they were really painful.
Oh, that's right, yeah, the old...
And that completely changed.
Yes. Yeah, what else happened? There was something else. I suddenly heard music.
As if by magic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was an amazing healing experience, but it was at that time with those people, beings, whatever it was, working on me. It was just hilarious, and they was finding it quite amusing as well, I'm sure. So yes, what a marvellous experience.
And you were markedly, you looked different,
yeah.
Everything, your whole energy field just was...
It went ding! Yeah, yeah, and since then it's only got better, really. Lots of experiences. But there you go.
Hi guys. I just wanted to add a few comments here to the video with Doug, which is really lovely. And I'd quite forgotten that I'd got it. So this was actually filmed on the night of the release of Eklectia. There we go, guys. So Eklectia was released 30th November 2018. And Doug was associate producer on it. You can see him kind of there with the hand up to his face. It's getting a bit out of focus there. But anyway, so this is the fabulous album, and the Sgt. Pepper kind of design was the genius idea of Dan Vallely. And let me just get to show you the discs. Now, I don't have for sale the physical album. I got a few made for PR purposes and to give to the guys. And until we get this picked up by a record label, it's going to stay that way. But you can get it on loads of different online platforms like iTunes, Deezer, Spotify, Amazon, Bandcamp. Did I say that? Anyway, so it's available. And if you guys want to go out and check the website, the Eklectia website, which is on a Wix site, I'll leave the link at the bottom. Please do, because there's a lovely page in memoriam to Doug, because, you know, on this evening, which was the 30th of November 2018, as I said, what he's just spoken about, which is why I thought I would just do a quick note in here, was probably about, I don't know, 2-3 months prior. So maybe even this time, or maybe a month or two earlier in the summer when we were working. And he was just so poorly. And I don't know if I really realized, don't know if anybody did, just how poorly he was. And he just kept pushing through those barriers, just making himself walk that little bit further, do that, bit more work. And we got this album out in 9 months. I mean, that was a phenomenal amount of work we were both doing, and I work full time as well. So I don't know quite how it happened actually, but we did it lots of 4 a.m. when we got together. Anyway, so when he came, and when he was so poorly, as he mentioned, I really wanted to perhaps try and work with crystals, because crystals are very immediate impact, especially if your system is very sensitive, as his was. And so I did lots of training and work with crystals years and years ago, did the Harry Oldfield system, still have the old unit, and did lots of workshops, that kind of thing. And one of the guys was Dr. Frank Alper, who did a workshop, and he taught about the Atlantean way of healing with crystals. There are some books by him, I think. I can't remember what they're called now. But anyway, so one of the configurations I used, or the configuration I used around Doug, which kind of matched the chakra points as you went down. So you had them starting at your head. So I had this unbelievably beautiful guy here called Fred. Fred's been with me forever. He's just a huge crystal, isn't he? Lovely. So that was at the crown, so you'd have that there, pointing down actually, and then all down the left side, these lovely humongous crystals. So one would be at the shoulder, and then the elbow and the wrist, hips, knees, ankles, that kind of thing. So on the left side, they were all pointing downward, and then on the right hand side, this is another fabulous crystal, double one, and that would be pointing, the other way up on the right side again, just mirroring the other side. And anyway, you heard his story. So I just wanted you to meet one or two of the crystals, because I was given a whole load of crystals, lovely. They're not all this huge. There are a lot that are, and they're just beautiful. And I really feel that they protect the place and keep it in good order energetically. So that was just lovely, and I just wanted to share that with you, because he was so blown away by the experience that he had. And really, he'd got these swollen legs, he looked terrible, and when I saw him after he'd been cooked in the crystals, he looked like a different guy. I mean, he totally looked different, and he felt it. And as he says, we worked again till about 4 o'clock. Anyway, so this is probably the last time actually I saw Dougie on this event. So it's just, he was so excited about the Eklectia album, which features, it's a compilation album, world first for those who don't know it, and it just features experienced musicians, singer-songwriters, and gives sound bites. One or two of the guys speak about their stories. So there's a spoken word as well, and I interview one or two people, including Grant Cameron, some of the Dowsing guys, Jeff Crockford, Nigel Hughes, and also Chris Bledsoe. And we just did this on Fresh Air, so it is a really exciting album, and we were hoping to get 2, 3 and 4 volume done, and who knows, maybe something will happen and I will get to do that. But in the meantime, this is all about changing consciousness. Doug knew this, I knew this, and so reaching people through music. The album is about being a bridge, connecting with people, just to give them a platform, a way in to this subject of these other beings, other intelligences, all that impacted the musicians too. And anyway, it's all very exciting, and I'm going to now let you listen to the rest of what Doug has to say. Tell us a little bit about your experience,
Doug. I love your experience. I love the way you speak about it, which is when you were about 4 years old.
Oh, yes.
And the pear tree.
And the pear tree incident. Yeah, I was playing in the garden, and I was looking through the pear tree, and there was blossom. And it was a late evening, I think, and the sun was sort of shining through, and then all of a sudden I was just bathed in light and love and that sort of thing, and like the whole of the universe, this sounds really, well, I don't care how it sounds, the whole of the universe and or the multiverse or whatever, all that was and ever will be was explained to me. And for that moment, I just, it's not saying I think I knew everything, I knew everything. It was that ridiculous. And within that, there was a bit where I was shown the illusion that we're sold from when we're born. Have a look at this, and as opposed to how it should be if we weren't brainwashed, indoctrinated by whoever. I think we all know who we're talking about. And it was amazing, and it was so, and it's also explained to me as well how we don't need money, and it's quite, I still maintain that, and it's quite a simple theory. I won't go into that now, but it was so ludicrous what we were shown and the way it can be. Just brought me to my knees in laughter, and so much so my mum came out into the garden. She said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, Mum, I know everything." And then I went upstairs to my bedroom, because I thought I'm just going to dine out on this. And I knelt on the side of my bed and put my head down on the bed and thought, I'm just going to get into this. Boof, there it went. So it was a lovely experience, and it changed my whole life, of course, but at such a young age. In fact, it made it quite difficult to join in, because I was joining in with something I'd shown wasn't real. But, I'd done my best. I had lots of mates. I wasn't... But it never felt as though I was part of this, It's always felt. My parents were my guardians, but...
Do you feel that it's had any impact on you with your direction musically, for example? Is there any link there, do you think?
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I've never overtly gone out and wrote about that sort of thing, but it's crept through. And I suppose it does, we've all experienced when you get those deliveries of songs, Yeah, it's sort of like the words and the lyrics, or the lyrics and the music, and you go, huh! And I never lay claim to those, because I always think, oh, it's not me. It's sort of like, thank you, whoever you are. And I suppose stuff like that, yeah. But it's getting more and more of the lyrics and the music's going more and more that direction now.
Yeah.
So.
And have you had any further experiences with anything that we might allude to as ET or...
Well, you see, mine's always, I've always called it the more like paranormal, but there was that, I don't know how long we've got. I mean, I'll be as quick as possible. There was a time I don't know if I told you about this, a time when I was living in Stockholm, and I was lying in bed with my wife. I was lying this side, and she was quite heavily pregnant with my first daughter, and I felt two hands there. And I was being pulled off the bed this way. And as I turned round, there was a woman standing there, about 6 foot, quite tall, bit of a Mona Lisa face and sort of auburn hair. But she was an absolute detail. Whenever I've seen anything like that, they haven't been sort of like spectry and misty. They've been like Dan or... Dan or Dan. Pick one. Yeah, so it's, even so, I could see the sort of satin stitches in her, what she was wearing in the moonlight. You know, they were sort of like... Anyway, I screamed, and nothing come out. It was one of those things. But it's still sort of like, well, and I told her about it, and we had a chat. And she was great, you know, she's a bit like that anyway. But then, lo and behold, a week to the day, really, before my daughter was born, it happened again. I thought, oh, I know what this is. And I looked around, it was the same woman. But this time she walked down the bed and went, you know, come with me. So I got one foot out the bed, and I thought, nah. So I chickened out. But yeah, that was a very, very real...
Do you have any idea what that was? Or who
Well, I thought at the time, oh, it's a ghost, you know. But what people call ghosts, I don't even know what that word means, really. But was it an interdimensional being? The more I've studied this sort of like, this subject, the more that I've realised that what we might be calling ghosts are, I mean, you know, different frequencies, occasionally going, bzzzt, you know, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's very interesting. And we had to move. We did move. I had to go and tell my managing director and writers. I said, why? He said, well, why do you want to move? You've only been there 6 months. And I said, well, it's haunted. And he said, well, he said, I'll move you, he said, because nobody's going to make up that excuse. He said to move, you know. So anyway, we did. And nothing else happened, you know. But that was a very vivid, probably the most vivid out of all of them, yeah. Visitations or experiences.
There does seem to be a lot of paranormal, doesn't there, going hand in hand with experiences of all kinds.
Yeah. Amazing, yeah. And I enjoy them. You know, it's not like it's like, oh my God, what's going on? It's like, wow, that's a bit tasty. You know. So, and you know, I don't care if anybody else believes it, it's my truth. I believe I know what happened, and it really, it doesn't, I don't care if nobody else believes it, because for me it was great, you know.
Well, thanks for that.
That's right.
And maybe...
Try and love the world tonight. Send us all some bliss. I've got so much to offer when I feel like this. People like good energy. Give the world a kiss. That's another good thought that will rattle around the world tonight. Another good thought. Another good thought. Another good feeling that will settle like a satellite. We look so good when we wear a smile. Try and throw the blues away, happy all the while. And that's another good thought.